I grew up in a family of 8, 6 kids, obviously my 2 parents. Yeah, it was a really nice upbringing and one that kind of allowed me to pursue the football. And then I had a chance to go to Melbourne. I think that was in 2013 with Bentley Greens, and I did, but unfortunately I went over there for a year and was injured the whole year, so that was a bit of a setback. And then in 2015 I signed with South Melbourne, back in Melbourne, and I had a really good 6 months with them, and thankfully Phil Stubbins from Newcastle came to watch, I think it was a game against Knights. I was very fortunate to have played well, and after that they invited me for a week's trial, which was still, like, looking back now, it's pretty surreal because, like, at the time again, like, I didn't think back to all this training that I'd done, all this time I'd put in. Like, it was literally just, don't think too much about it. Just you're training with, you know, a group of guys, and yeah, it was just another training. I had to be resilient. I had to be strong at times, and I think continuing to try is a really important thing, because if I'd given up, I'd regret it now. There were times I wanted to give up and just be like, no, let's just go home, but that would have been the easy thing to have done, and I would have regretted it big time. Like, say if I'd given up early in the first year, I wouldn't have played the last 2 or 3 games, and if I'd given up that year, I wouldn't have gone on to play another few more games. So, and those games, like the game against Victory I had in the second year, it was like one of the best experiences I've ever had. Like, I mean, I got double cramp in both my calves in that game, so I wasn't ready to play 90 minutes or to start physically, but it's such a good experience that, yeah, and without that resilience and without that commitment, I could never have had it. So I'm really glad to have stuck through it. I was always had this thought or engaging that, and I was gay. I watched this movie called Love, Simon, and it literally, like, completely changed my world, like, big time, because it made me realise, and like, I could see the characters so much what I was doing, but it made me realise that I was kind of wasting time, I suppose, and that all this energy I was put into worrying about something that, you know, when you look at it and you look at, you know, love or anything like that, it's literally, if you love someone and someone else loves that person, then why would you deny that person to be happy? And it took me a long time to kind of realise that as much as love is complicated, it's really simple, and that by not allowing myself to feel those things, I'm denying myself of that happiness. So probably then and there, and it was a pretty swift decision, really, like, all right, by finally accepting it and then realising you have to do something about it. I worked very hard, and a lot of people work very hard to get in the football, to get to where they got to, and to think that something about you could affect that is a scary thing. If you look back growing up and playing football, you know, there's all these words like gay, fag, and all this stuff that you build up around this, I suppose, a stereotype that you can't be gay and you can't play. Initially, when this all happened, I didn't want to go on camera, I didn't want to talk to people about it. I just wanted to be out and just put it aside, and that was it, and then continue playing. But it wasn't until I'd got messages from Instagram, people saying, like, how important it was for them to see this, because it's not very often that they can. And so that made me want to do more, because if you can spread a positive message, which mine has ended up being, it can be so good, not only to educate people that aren't familiar with it, but also to, you know, give guidance, I suppose, in some way to people that are going through the same kind of thing. I mean, a lot of the things you do in your life, but you worry about what other people are thinking and will think of you for doing something. And that, for some people, is the bar of what they may or may not do. So, you know, I had those thoughts as well, like, what will people think, what will people, how will they react? So it was scary. So I suppose going through all that up until this point now, yeah, I'm happy now. It's taken a little while to get to this point, but yeah, it was a journey that I've learned a lot on, and one that, yeah, I couldn't be happier to have taken, I suppose.